Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking to you about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. That's going to include NWA Power and AEW Collision, where they had their special. I'll talk about it throughout once we get there, but for now, we're going to start with NWA Power. We start off with Pope, Tim Storm, and Joe Galli in the ring. I thought this was about to be an interview, but no, it's just announcing Pope's joining commentary. And then we go on to our first matchup of the evening, and it's a Crockett Cup quarterfinal round matchup, as the Good Brothers take on the Slime Balls. And this was way more competitive than I thought it'd be, especially with the Good Brothers' size. But it was a decent little back and forth until Chance gets it with the neck breaker. Doc tags in. Good Brothers hit Chance with Rant with the Magic Killer for the 1, 2, 3. Now, post-match, we were going to get a Good Brothers interview, but the Slime Balls interrupt, saying, "Congratulations, you survived the United States Tag Team Champions. We know you've won titles everywhere, and you've conquered all over the world, but you survived Slime Ball City, and this serves too slimy. So, spit on their hands, put up the too sweet, but the Good Brothers do not reciprocate." So, it does look like these two are going to be rivals for a little bit. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the Slime Balls cost the Good Brothers in the future of the tournament. So then we get a little promo / argument from the Southern Six. Kerry Morton was complaining about... No, Alex Taylor was complaining about how Kerry Morton didn't get in to break up the tag in their last match. And then Kerry said, "Well, you should have been strong enough to kick out." And Thrill says, "Enough is enough. It's time for the Southern Six to have our heads on our swivel. We're not breaking up. The Southern Six is riding high, and we're never gonna die." So yeah, those cracks in the Southern Six, they're getting a little bigger. Let's see if they stand tall as they think they are. Oh, next up, we got another Crockett Cup quarterfinal match. We got the Titans of Calamity. So that's Ren... Oh, God, I forget this guy's name. Along with Talos, to take on the kind of thrown together team, but it's a team that makes sense thrown together, if that makes any sense. Tom Latimer and El Dragon Nihon. And Latimer takes a beating early on in this match. Like, eventually he does find himself, but he poor old boy takes a beating from the big men. Then, right before an ad break, as Talos is tagged in, we get a little, story from... I don't think it's David Crockett, because David is long deceased. But it's one of the Crockett family talking about the time the Road Warriors won the Crockett Cup, which, yeah, that's a long time ago. Then hit the commercial. Come back to a promo from the Wrestling Machines. That's Mike Mondo and Slade. And they say, "You guys, our last opponents found out. We are moving on while you are going home. Slime Balls. Then we get a little rap from the Slime Balls and Aaron Stevens. And Stevens stops them and says, "Who knew certain podcasts come in kid sizes? But we are going to have the Carson Drake Experience next." So, a little advertisement for the Carson Drake segment, which I don't mind. So, yeah, definitely showing the goal of the Federation of Champions. So, anyway, we go back to the match. Latimer is fighting back after a while. He eventually gets tagged. Dragon Neon tagged in, and he and the two other big boys throw hands. Like, this is a hoss fight of the highest order. Eventually, Ren gets in, hits a choke slam. Tags in Talos, they hit a double choke slam to pick up the win. And then post-match, you see Latimer and Dragon Neon seemingly talking things out. I'm not sure what's going on there. Personally, I'd like to see Latimer and Neon team up for a bit more, but eventually, I figured this would be an eventuality. So, Carson Drake Experience segment with Wrecking Paul Legursky, who is, I think, Carson Drake's first guest that isn't a part of his group. So, it's revealed that we're getting Legursky versus Carson Drake in the near future. Every time Carson asks a question and then Wrecking Ball goes to answer, Carson Drake has some snide comment or interrupts him. Eventually, he does so. Legursky lunges for Carson Drake. Then we get a little, flashes of the attack. We don't see it fully because it looks like, they took out the cameraman as well. Eventually, it does stabilize. And you see Carson Drake's hair all messed up. It looks like he has a little blood coming from his lip. And he closes up the show. That was the most different Carson Drake Experience segment I've ever seen. And this is only 3 weeks old? I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So next, we get a Damian Fenrir promo. I don't think I've ever heard this dude speak. He's got an elegant voice. I'm going to say that. No homo. Although, do I need to no homo this? He's got a nice voice. He says, "Misery, this is your biggest win of the career." Oh, bless me. "But it's not happening again. You're nothing but a cheap imitation, and I'm taking wrestling to new heights." So, definitely have a goal for Fenrir. Probably going to get his win back against Misery, and then probably the junior heavyweight title. But, yeah, it's good to keep him on the show and keep him at least a little bit relevant. And then we get to our main event of NWA Power, and it's for a shot at the NWA Women's title, Future Shot. And it is a 8-woman gauntlet match. So basically, it's kind of Royal Rumble style. You start with 2. New entry appears after a countdown. And then the last woman standing wins. Now, the ways you can get eliminated, either by pinfall, submission, or over the top rope. Which, honestly, I kind of like over the Royal Rumble, because it adds a bit more drama. And our starting 2, we got Hollywood Haley J and Kylie Paige. And these two start off pretty hot. Not saying, looks hot, even though they are attractive. But they beat 7 shades of damn out of one another. Eventually, Countdown gets the count, counted down. In comes Shay McCormichael, which is... I don't think I've ever heard someone with the last name Carmichael. That is so weird. Other than the Rugrats. Susie Carmichael, holy shit. So Shay gets immediately in the ring. She starts posing. Then Haley J and Kylie Paige super kick her right in the face. They try to take each other over the top rope, but that gets stopped. Next woman in is Greta of TVMA. And she just... Well, before she can even get into the ring, we go to a commercial. And then a promo from the Titans of Calamity. Which... I guess it's fine. With Tallow saying, "That was a hell of a fight, boys. You were just in our way, and we're going to show you the door, that the Titans are coming for gold." Then we hear Ren in Japanese, which I don't understand. They do have captions, but I'm going to say this. Certain people just talk way too fast for me to, take notes on. We get back into the arena. Greta finally gets in the ring. Hits a choke slam on Shay McMichael. Pins her. Done. Turns around. Does the same thing to Haley J. Kylie begs off. She starts fighting back. With the next woman in being Kylie's older sister, Kenzie Paige. And they fight together to chop down the cherry tree. Eventually, Greta gets a double clothesline. Next woman in is another new face. It's Morgan Mercy. Now, apparently she is of the Texas territory. So she gets in and immediately gets in Greta's face. And they throw haymakers at one another. After an uppercut by Morgan, Greta shoulder tackles her over the top rope. But Morgan fights off, gets back in the ring, eats a choke slam from Greta, and is eliminated. And the next woman in is Hera. Seen her a couple times. She just immediately runs house. After a couple of clotheslines to Greta and Kylie, she eats a Kenzie cutter from Kenzie Paige, and Kenzie eliminates her. Then, as Kenzie is celebrating, Kylie goes up from behind her, dumps her over the top rope to the floor, with Kenzie eliminated. And as that happens, we cut to a Thrillbilly Silas Mason promo before an ad. Says, talking to his opponent coming up, saying, "You got 2 weeks to either train or kiss the boss's ass. I already sent you to the back of the line once. I'll send you to your grave next." So, yeah, them fighting words for Brian Idol. Gonna be interesting to see how that works out. So, apparently those were supposed to be the 8, but we get a new countdown. Next women in, Tiffany Nieves. And as soon as she gets in the ring, Miss Star grabs Kylie Paige's leg. And then she goes over and low blows the referee on the outside. Kylie with a couple of super kicks. With both Greta and Tiffany distracted, looking at Miss Star on the outside. Kylie attempts to roll up on Tiffany, but the ref is distracted. Greta then saves Tiffany. Tiffany and Greta then just destroy for Kylie Paige after a clothesline, getting a 2 count. Tiffany attempts a Boston Crab, that gets blocked. Couple of clotheslines by Greta. Attempted backbreaker, but that gets blocked into a face slam and then a knee strike. Kylie with a drop kick, only for 2. Greta then comes, picks her up, choke slam. Then Greta takes Tiffany Nieves, puts her on Kylie Paige for the 3 count, with Kylie being eliminated. And it's just down to the 2 teammates. Then we see Tiffany point at Greta, point to the outside. Greta walks herself over the top rope and eliminates herself. So your winner and the new number 1 contender for the women's title is Tiffany Nieves. Which I honestly love heel tactics like that. That's why I like stables and groups. Because we get fun, interesting stuff like this. Although, I will admit it is a little played out. And honestly, I thought she was going to go for a finger poke of doom. Just like, boop, Greta falls like she got hit by a shotgun. But I feel like this is the better option for both. So, yeah, that was NWA Power. A very interesting episode. As we have our final 4 for the Crockett Cup, along with a new number 1 contender for the women's title. So, my only issue with Power, and it's kind of been going on for a while now, is the promos and non-wrestling stuff on, like, right before commercials. It doesn't really give the promos time to breathe. Like, let's set this up a little neater and maybe do commercials after the promos, after the matches, if that makes any sense to anybody. Because, like, that really messes with the flow of the show for me. Of course, that's just for me. Overall, pretty entertaining episode. Now we move on to AEW Collision Fairway to Hell. Now, what this is a 1-hour special, although it did get a little bit of an overrun, where it took place in I guess it's a kind of Topgolf-esque facility, where it's a golf course. I guess people go train there. And they had the ring here. The course itself was over here. So, I'm going to say this. I love interesting venues. Like, obviously, we're going to see big hockey and basketball arenas hold more people. Give me more stuff like this. Give me more interesting venues. Like when WCW did a show in Sturgis, the bike rally. Or when WCW had a couple of shows actually on the beach. Stuff like that is interesting. It's fun. It breaks up the dullness of, just another arena. And I feel like AEW has been doing that a lot more, which I do appreciate. And this one, I feel like, was the most unique of the venues. And you know what? I think I might do a video on this. You know what? I might. Some interesting venues for wrestling. I think that'd honestly be a lot of fun. So, first matchup on the card is for the AEW National title. We got Jungle Jack Perry defending against Mark Davis. And Davis kind of dominated this match more than a little bit. overpowered the more speedy Jack Perry. But it was definitely way more back and forth than I thought it'd be. With Jack Perry countering out of some stuff and doing some Hurricane Ranas. At one point, after a powerbomb off the top that Perry countered into a Rana, Don Callis got up on the apron, distracted the referee long enough for Ricochet, who's in a full-ass golf outfit, comes out with a golf club, strikes Jack Perry with it. Davis then hits a pile driver on Perry, and your winner and new national champion, Mark Davis. So, Don Callis family gets more gold, and overall, I really enjoyed this match. It was so good. Real David versus Goliath stuff. And then Ricochet being involved, it makes sense. Because Ricochet and Jack Perry have been at odds for a while now. So, after Ricochet hides the golf club, he gets back in the ring and celebrates with Davis and Callis post-match. Then we get something interesting. We get a little Nick Wayne highlight reel as he's announced for the Best of the Super Juniors in New Japan, which I wish him well for that. Then we just get Renee Paquette casually announcing, oh, Ospreay's cleared to compete, and we're not going to have to wait long, because he's going to have a match this Wednesday against Inevitable Ace Austin. In which, yeah, I'm in. I hope this means Will Ospreay's more than okay. That he's like 100%. But I guess we'll see. So next up, we cut to the back with Jack Perry. He's just getting off the phone with somebody. And we're going to figure out who it is in a second, where he says, winning the national title in my hometown was the proudest moment of my career. Mark Davis, Ricochet, you ended that for me. And I know Jericho is looking for a couple of partners for Stadium Stampede. Well, the show is called Double or Nothing for a reason, so let's up those stakes. I'm not just bringing myself and a partner, I'm bringing 4 members for this team. It's going to be myself, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. That's right, we're going to be seeing the Elite in Stadium Stampede once again. And with me going, I'm hyped. Let's do it, baby. So then we got cut to a Don Callis, Mark Davis, Ricochet interview in a different part of the arena, with Callis saying, you want my reaction to this? I'm thrilled. Jack Perry just gifted me my fantasy of beating up the Elite in this match. So Ricochet answers, well, does that mean the Callis family is joining my team? Don Callis then answers, well, yes, because I feel like after tonight, the national champion should be standing right by your side as you're beating down Kenny Omega. Not only that, we're going to pick a couple more members to join the team over some hors d'oeuvres. So, yeah, it looks like we're going to get some members of the Callis family joining in. So, for right now, for Double or Nothing, we got, on one side, Chris Jericho, the Hurt Syndicate, which I don't know if it's the full team or if MVP's just going to be the manager. Jack Perry, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks taking on The Demand. So that's Ricochet, Bishop Khan, Toa Liona, Mark Davis, and a couple other members of the Callis family to be announced, which I assume we're going to hear that this week. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. I cannot wait for that match. So, next up is a bit of a weird matchup. It's a 5-minute challenge match where if the opponents can survive the Divine Dominion, they'll get a title shot. And it's within, it says 5 minutes, but I feel like more was put on the clock. So we have Lena Cross and Megan Bayne of the Divine Dominion taking on Ruthie Slay and Rachel Leigh, which I don't know if these two are an actual tag team, but honestly, those names are hilarious. And this was pretty much straight domination by the Divine Dominion. Lena Cross with a fallaway slam Samoan drop combo on her own on both opponents. And then we get Megan Bayne tagged in. They hit the Divine Intervention, which is a great name for a finisher, to pick up the win. And pretty much snub the number one contenders. So, I don't know if this is going to lead to a challenge from an actual tag team, but I hope that is the plan. Because AEW definitely needs to up its women's tag team game. Then we see some highlights from Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, and Jamie Hayter of them getting wins recently. So it is we get the match graphic for the 4-way at Double or Nothing for the women's title. It's Jamie Hayter taking on Shida, Hikaru Shida taking on Chris Statlander as they all challenge Thekla for the women's world title. A bit out of nowhere, but honestly, I dig it. I guess that's why there hasn't really been a set number one contender for Thekla yet. But a couple of these do make sense. Like, obviously, you have Jamie Hayter has been feuding with them on and off for months now. Same thing with Statlander a bit before she teamed with Shida. Shida hasn't really had an interaction with Thekla, but I guess she kind of... Maybe we'll find out she put herself in this match somehow. But, yeah, definitely going to be an interesting match. Then we get announced that the brackets for both the men's and women's Owen Hart tournaments will be announced for Dynamite. Hell yeah, I am ready for the Owen Hart Cup. Then we go backstage for a Don Callis promo. And he's pretty much... Before we start our main event, just know we are watching this match, and whoever wins, the Callis family is going to take the title away from either one of you. It's already been a great night for the Callis family, but sadly we have to announce that Okada is going to Japan to handle some family business. But we have the perfect replacement, Konosuke Takeshita. So Takeshita walks in the frame. Callis turns to him and says, "You're going to be the world champion if you just listen to me and take my directions. You're the best wrestler on the planet when you have a plan." So Takeshita puts on a little grin, turns to the camera, says, "Don, I'm going to take the international title, but I'm bringing the AEW world title back to the Callis family, unlike Okada." Which, ooh, that shot. So, yeah, we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Then we get a Kyle O'Reilly highlight reel, which is interesting. Like, I don't know what this is for, but they're going to do something big with Kyle O'Reilly. Like, I don't know, maybe put him in the Owen Hart tournament. I would not be mad at that at all. So next is a standby match, meaning, the Divine Dominion went a little short, so we are getting an extra unannounced match as Speedball Mike Bailey takes on Karrion Gray. And while Gray messes with Speedball Mike Bailey before the bell, Bailey with a couple of kicks, big knee drop, and then a moonsault gets him back in. Gray knocks Speedball off the top after he tries for the Ultimate Weapon. Eventually, Speedball fights back, hits a headbutt on Gray on the top rope, then hits the Ultimate Weapon for the win. Now, post-match, we got Kevin Knight, who was seconding Speedball Mike Bailey, and he has a microphone, and he says, "I like that a lot. Speedball, you're red hot right now, but I'm still the face of TNT. With the future of AEW as open as it is, let's make it go to the top together." And then they just stand and pose. I got a funny feeling Kevin Knight is about to turn on Speedball. Like, there's just something about what he said and how he said it that's just messing with my mind a little. Anyway, so then we get a Darby Allin versus Pac hype package, which AEW are doing so good at doing stuff like this. Their production game is getting way better. Although, I will admit, throughout the night, well, I did watch this on Saturday, and then I just watched this again today. On Saturday, I didn't hear him, but today on my iPad, I did. You could clearly hear Tony Khan leading production, in which I'll give them a little benefit of the doubt. It's a new venue. They don't really know how stuff works yet. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a little leeway in that terms. So now we make it to our main event of the evening, and it's a no count out match. Not a no DQ, a no count out match for the AEW World Heavyweight title between Darby Allin and Pac. Now, just as the bell rings, Darby Allin bails out of the ring. I thought he was going to go walk to the back for a second. He walks behind commentary and goes on the green of the golf course. And he's picking a fight with Pac. Like, come on, let's go out here. So Pac follows him, and they just start beating the heck out of each other. Darby attempts a code red, but that gets blocked into a backdrop. Pac goes for a suplex, that gets blocked. Darby hits a code red into the sand trap area, which, that was nuts. And Pac gets back up, they trade strikes. Darby with a big old drop kick, which knocks Pac into the sand trap. He gets back up. Pac then suplexes Darby into the sand trap, locks in the brutalizer, but the ref's telling him, "No, Pac, you can't win out here. You gotta go in the ring." Which, I love enforcing rules like this. So Pac lets go. Looks like he's about to bring Darby back to the ring. Instead, he hoists Darby up, hits a military press slam back into the sand trap. Now, eventually, they do make it to the ring. And then when we come back from commercial, you see Pac wrapping the tag rope from tag team matches around Darby's neck. Hits a couple of big old kicks. Tosses him over the other side of the ring. Darby tries to fight back. Pac drops him into outer space. Then Darby trips Pac, hits a scorpion death drop for a 2 count, goes for a crossbody, but that gets blocked, into a falcon arrow from the top rope, only gets a 2 count. Darby rolls out of the ring, then Pac grabs a table from underneath it, sets it up, sets Darby on the table. He attempts a shooting star press, but misses, so he lands through the table. Gets him back in. Darby with a takedown. Locks in the Scorpion Death Lock. But Pac makes it into the ropes. At that point, Garcia, Yuta, and Shafir come running out of the tunnel. Looks like they're about to interfere. But Pac hits Darby with a clothesline over the top rope. Then Yuta and Garcia then run to the back. They come back out and they have a table. So they set it up right in front of right on the ramp. Then they keep grabbing like 3 more and make a table stack. Like what you'd see at like ECW shows. Although they didn't set it on fire. So then we didn't see, apparently that was a commercial, but Pac brings Darby up to the balcony area right over the tables. They just start beating the heck out of each other. Darby with a back rake. At that point, Marina Shafir shows up, gets right in the ref's face. Pac low blows him and just tosses him off the balcony through 2 of the 4 tables set up, which that was absolutely nuts. Then Pac runs back down the ramp, grabs Darby, throws him in the ring, covers him, only gets a 2 count. Pac then turns to the ref. Was that a 3? Was only a 2. So Yuta grabs a chair, slides it in the ring. The ref sees it, brings the chair outside the ring, gets in the face of the Death Riders long enough that Marina Shafir grabbed the AEW World title, slid it into Pac. But at that point, Darby stands up. Pac goes for a belt shot, misses. Darby with the low blow, takes the title back, hits a belt shot, a coffin drop, and picks up the win. And then we see post-match Darby being checked out by the doctors sitting ringside. So, yeah, I do think the storyline of this is eventually Darby is going to crash out and lose the title. I don't know if that's going to be against Takeshita on Wednesday or in some other match coming up. But honestly, I think that match is going to be at Double or Nothing. Although we do have a contract signing coming up with MJF. What happens if Darby doesn't show? That's going to be an interesting one. So, yeah, interesting things on the horizon. I'm going to say this again. Tony Khan, find more unique venues like this. This was a great show. Besides the audio glitches, overall, yeah, fun as hell show. I'd like to see more venues like this. So that'll do it for me. Coming up on Wednesday is going to be my last card prediction for Double or Nothing. Then the week after, probably on Thursday, because that's probably when the rest of the card is going to get filled out. Is going to be my full predictions for Double or Nothing, which is then that Sun. Wait, am I thinking them right? Yeah, 24th. So yeah, Thursday the 21st is going to be my predictions for Double or Nothing. And then I'll review that show on Monday, maybe even on Tuesday, depending how I'm feeling, if I lost my voice or not. But yeah, definitely some exciting things to come. I cannot wait to share them with you all. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.